I've been driving trucks for over 30 years, and I've learned that the worst things you'll ever see on the road aren't accidents. They're the things that don't make sense afterward. This happened on a route I had taken dozens of times before, a long overnight drive through stretches of road where you can go hours without seeing another vehicle. It was the kind of job you stop thinking about because everything feels predictable, and that's exactly why I didn't notice how wrong things were until it was already too late. It started with something small, a car behind me that didn't pass. At first, I didn't think anything of it. Some drivers sit behind trucks because it feels safer at night, letting someone else handle the darkness ahead. But after about 20 minutes, I realized something about it didn't sit right. It wasn't adjusting distance the way most drivers do. It stayed in the same position, far enough to avoid my mirrors clearly, but close enough that I could see its headlights sitting low and steady. I sped up slightly. It matched me. I slowed down. It did the same. That's when I started paying attention. The road ahead was empty, the kind of darkness that swallows your headlights after a certain distance, and the only constant thing was that car behind me, holding the same unnatural rhythm. I picked up the radio to call it in, but there was nothing but static. Not the usual broken signal you get in remote areas, but a flat, empty noise like the line wasn't connecting to anything at all. That's when I noticed something else. There were no other lights. No distant headlights in the opposite lane. No glow from far-off towns. Nothing. Just me and that car. After another 10 minutes, I made a decision that I still regret. I pulled over. Slowly. I wanted to see if it would pass. The car slowed with me, then stopped. About 30 feet behind. Engine still running. Lights still on. But no movement. I stayed in the cab, watching through the side mirror, waiting for the driver to step out, to do anything that made sense. Nothing happened. Not for a long time. Long enough that the silence started feeling heavier than it should. Then the driver's door opened. The person who stepped out didn't rush, didn't hesitate, didn't even look around. He walked toward the back of my truck with the kind of calm you only see in people who already know exactly what they're doing. I locked my doors. He kept walking. When he reached the back of the trailer, he stopped and rested his hand against it like he was feeling something through the metal. That's when I realized something that made my stomach drop. He wasn't looking at me. He was listening. I climbed out of the cab before I could talk myself out of it. I told myself it was better to confront whatever this was than sit there imagining it. I called out to him. He didn't respond right away. Then he turned slowly, like he had been expecting my voice. Up close, he looked completely normal. No panic, no confusion, no sign that anything about this situation was unusual. He asked me how long I'd been driving that route. Not who I was, not why I stopped, just that. I told him. He nodded slightly, like that confirmed something. Then he said something I didn't understand at the time. He said, "You didn't check the back." I told him there was nothing back there except sealed freight, and he smiled just enough to make it clear he knew something I didn't. Then he stepped aside and gestured toward the trailer. I should have gotten back in the truck. I should have left. Instead, I walked to the back and opened it. The seal was intact. That's what I remember most clearly. The seal was intact, and the inside was not how I left it. The cargo had shifted. Not slightly. Not like it moved during the drive. It had been rearranged. Boxes stacked differently. Gaps where there shouldn't have been any. And in the center, there was space. Just enough space for someone to stand. I stepped back immediately. My first thought was that someone had gotten inside before I left, that I had somehow missed it, but that didn't explain the seal. It didn't explain how anything had changed without breaking it. I turned to the man. He was watching me. Then he said something else. He said, "It doesn't like being alone back there." I didn't respond. I couldn't, because in that moment, I heard something from inside the trailer. Not a voice. Breathing. Coming from deeper than the space I was looking at. I slammed the door shut. Locked it. Turned around to get back in the cab, and the man was gone. Not walking away. Not near his car. Just gone. The car was still there. Engine running. Lights on. But empty. I didn't think. I just drove. Faster than I should have. ignoring the mirrors, ignoring everything except the road ahead. For the next hour, I kept telling myself it wasn't real, that there had to be an explanation, that I had misread something, misunderstood something, anything that made it less impossible. Then I heard the breathing again, from behind me, inside the trailer. Closer now, not faint anymore. Like whatever had been back there wasn't staying in one place. I pulled into the first checkpoint I could find, jumped out before the truck fully stopped, told them everything. They checked the trailer, opened it carefully, looked through every inch. They found nothing. No person, no disturbance, no sign anything had ever been there. And the seal was still intact. That was years ago. I kept driving after that. Tried to forget it. Tried to convince myself it was just exhaustion, isolation, something my mind created to fill the silence. Until last month, I was reviewing old dashcam footage, clearing storage, deleting things I didn't need anymore. And I found that night. I watched it. From the beginning. The empty road. The headlights behind me. The stop. The man stepping out. Everything exactly the way I remembered it. Until I noticed something I hadn't seen before. Something the camera caught that I didn't. When I opened the trailer, for a few frames, something moved inside. Not fast, just shifting slightly out of the darkness, like it had been standing there the entire time. And right before I closed the door, it leaned forward, just enough to reach the edge of the light. And when I slowed it down, I realized something that hasn't left me since. It wasn't trying to get out. It was making sure I closed the door behind it. Because it wasn't trapped in that trailer. It was already where it wanted to be. And I drove it, exactly where it needed to go.